I'm Jessica, trapped in a life that's become a hollow shell of what it once was, where every day blends into the next in a blur of gray monotony. My sprawling estate, once a sanctuary of love and laughter, now feels like a gilded cage, its walls whispering secrets of a past I can barely remember. I've spent years numb, drifting through a marriage that's lost its fire, until a single, unexpected moment shattered everything I thought I knew. A storm is brewing in my heart, a dangerous pull toward something forbidden, and as I stand on the edge of a decision that could destroy it all, I'm left wondering, did I just awaken a part of myself I can never put back to sleep? Picture this: a single, fleeting moment where the world seems to hold its breath, and all I can hear is the faint ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway, a relentless reminder of time slipping through my fingers. I'm Jessica, 45 years old, standing at the edge of a life that feels like it's been painted in muted grays. My home, a sprawling estate just beyond the city's restless heartbeat, looms around me like a silent sentinel. It's not a house anymore, not really. It's a gallery of memories, each room a frame holding echoes of a past I can barely touch. The high ceilings, the polished floors, the ornate furniture we picked out together. They all stare back at me, cold and indifferent, as if they've forgotten who I am. I've been married to Ethan for more years than I care to count, a partnership that once burned bright with passion and promise. Now, it's like an old photo album tucked away on a high shelf, the kind you mean to revisit but never do. The colors of our early days, those late-night whispers, the way we'd tangle ourselves in each other under the moonlight, lost in a dance of desire, have faded into sepia tones. We don't talk about those moments anymore. We don't talk about much at all. Silence has become our third housemate, an uninvited guest that lingers in every corner, filling the spaces where laughter used to live. It's not that we fight, it's worse. We coexist, moving through our days like well-rehearsed actors in a play no one's watching. Ethan leaves before dawn most mornings, swallowed up by his corporate job, a world of suits and spreadsheets I've never fully understood. He comes home late, his face a mask of exhaustion, his eyes avoiding mine as if looking too long might reveal something neither of us is ready to face. I spend my days tending to this cavernous house, dusting surfaces that don't need it, or escaping to the garden with a book, the pages a temporary shield against the quiet. Our conversations, when they happen, are clipped and practical, reminders about the electric bill, a question about what's for dinner, a nod as we pass each other in the hallway. It's a rhythm I've grown accustomed to, a mundane beat that lulls me into a kind of numbness. But beneath that numbness, there's something else, a restlessness I can't name, a yearning that tugs at me in the quiet hours. I'm not sure what I'm searching for, not yet. Maybe it's a spark, a jolt to wake me from this half-life. Maybe it's a connection, a reminder that I'm still here, still alive. I see it in the mirror sometimes, in the lines around my eyes, in the way my hands tremble just slightly when I pour my morning coffee. There's a hunger there, a need for something to shatter the monotony, to remind me of the woman I used to be, the one who laughed too loud, who loved with abandon, who embraced life with open arms. That morning started like any other, with the pale light of dawn creeping through the curtains and the distant hum of Ethan's car fading as he left for work. I was sitting at the kitchen table, nursing a cup of coffee that had gone lukewarm, when he turned back just before heading out the door. His voice cut through the stillness, casual, but with an edge of insistence that made me look up from the steam curling off my mug. He asked me to stay home that day, said a crew of repairmen was coming by to check the roof. Apparently, the recent storms had done a number on it, leaving leaks that needed attention. I nodded, barely giving it a second thought. These kinds of tasks often fell to me, being the one who's always here, holding down the fort while he's off in his world of meetings and deadlines. I told him I'd handle it, and with a quick, distracted nod, he was gone, the door clicking shut behind him. The hours after that dragged on, each minute stretching into eternity. The house was a cavern of quiet, the kind of silence that presses against you, heavy and unyielding. I moved through my usual routine, tidying up the already spotless living room, folding a throw blanket that didn't need folding, wiping down counters that gleamed under the morning light. Every so often, I'd glance at the clock, willing the hands to move faster, waiting for the interruption that would break the monotony. I checked the front window a few times, peering out at the empty driveway, half expecting to see a truck pull up early. But there was nothing, just the gray sky and the bare branches of the trees swaying in the wind, a reminder of the storms that had battered us for weeks. By the time noon rolled around, I was almost relieved to hear the sharp chime of the doorbell. I smoothed my hands over my jeans, took a quick breath, and crossed the hallway to answer it. When I swung the door open, 3 men stood on the porch, their presence filling the space with a kind of raw, unpolished energy. They were tall, rugged, dressed in worn work clothes, jeans streaked with dirt, heavy boots scuffed from use, and jackets that had seen better days. The first one, a broad-shouldered man with a scruffy beard peppered with gray, stepped forward with a nod. He introduced himself as Mark, his voice gravelly, like he'd spent years shouting over machinery. He seemed to be the one in charge, his posture all business as he gestured to the others. Beside him was Jamal, a dark-skinned man with deep-set eyes that seemed to take in everything at once, carrying a quiet intensity that made me pause. He didn't say much, just offered a polite dip of his head. The third, Tyler, was younger, lean and wiry, with a quick flash of a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He hung back, hands shoved in his pockets, letting the others do the talking. I stepped aside. I'm standing in the kitchen, the faint scent of coffee still lingering in the air, when I feel the atmosphere shift like the moment before a storm breaks. My hands are on the counter, gripping the edge just a little too tightly, as if I can anchor myself against whatever's coming. Mark, the bearded leader of the repair crew, steps behind me, his heavy boots scuffing softly against the tile. His presence is a weight, deliberate and unignorable, pressing into the small space between us. I don't turn around, not yet, but I can sense him there, close, too close. My breath catches as I feel the warmth of his exhale on the back of my neck, a subtle heat that sends an unexpected shiver down my spine. Then, in a low, gravelly whisper that seems to vibrate through me, he says, "Your hair is incredibly soft." His fingers, rough from years of hard labor, graze a strand of my auburn locks, the touch so light it's almost ghostly, yet it ignites something raw and electric in me. My heart slams against my ribs, a wild mix of fear and a thrill I haven't felt in years, a sensation I thought had long since withered away. Before I can process it, before I can even think to step away, Jamal walks by, his frame filling the doorway for a fleeting second. As he passes, his hand brushes against my waist, a slow, lingering contact that feels anything but accidental. His deep, piercing gaze locks with mine for just a heartbeat, but it's enough to send a jolt through my entire body, like a current I can't control. My skin prickles where his touch lingered, and I'm caught in this storm of sensation, my mind racing with thoughts I shouldn't have. I've been loyal to Ethan for so long, built a life on the foundation of that promise, but now, in this charged moment, I feel the weight of years of stagnation pressing down on me. Each breath I take feels heavier, deeper, like I'm inhaling rebellion itself, tasting a freedom I've denied myself for far too long. The quiet of my marriage, the endless routine, it's suffocating. And suddenly, I'm aware of how much I've missed feeling alive, feeling wanted. Then Tyler's there, leaning casually against the counter, but his usual easy smile has a different edge now, something suggestive, almost daring. His voice drops low, teasing, as he murmurs, "You've been real hospitable, Jessica. We appreciate it." The way he says it, the way his eyes linger on me, it's not just a compliment, it's an invitation, one that hangs in the air like a challenge. My pulse is a drumbeat in my ears, loud and insistent, drowning out the voice of reason that's screaming at me to stop, to think, to remember who I am. But I don't want to think. Not now. Not when every nerve in my body is awake, buzzing with a hunger I can't ignore. What happens next is a blur, a whirlwind of impulse that sweeps me away before I can anchor myself. I let go of everything, every vow, every expectation, and give in to the chaos. We move to the living room, the space still cluttered with their tools and drop cloths from the roof repairs, the hardwood floor cold beneath us. The unfinished state of the room mirrors the mess inside me, the raw, unpolished edges of my emotions laid bare. I surrender to them, to Mark, Jamal, and Tyler, in a moment of reckless abandon that feels like both a betrayal and a release. It's fast, intense, a collision of need and desire that I don't shy away from it. I'm caught up in the heat of it, the way their hands and breaths mingle with mine, a forbidden dance that I don't want to end. And the truth, the raw, unfiltered truth, is that I revel in it. I feel no regret, not in that moment. Instead, there's a strange liberation, a shedding of the weight I've carried for years, as if I've finally broken free from the cage of my own making. Afterward, I'm left breathless, my mind reeling with the enormity of what I've just done. I'm standing in the living room, the air still thick with the aftermath of that wild, untamed storm of emotion and desire. My chest heaves as I try to catch my breath, my skin still tingling with the echoes of touches I shouldn't have craved. I glance around, almost expecting the walls themselves to whisper judgment, but there's nothing. Just the scattered tools and drop cloths, silent witnesses to a moment that's changed everything. I smooth my clothes with trembling hands, trying to erase any evidence of the chaos I've indulged in. My hair feels wild, strands sticking to the back of my neck, and I rake my fingers through it, desperate to pull myself together, to look like the woman I was just hours ago. But I'm not her anymore, am I? My body hums with adrenaline, a restless energy that courses through me, making my hands shake as I adjust my blouse. It's like I'm vibrating on a frequency I can't control, caught between the high of what just happened and the creeping shadow of guilt that's starting to claw at the edges of my mind. Outside, I hear the clatter of ladders and the low murmur of voices as Mark, Jamal, and Tyler return to their work on the roof. They move with a casual ease, as if nothing earth-shattering happened down here, as if the world didn't just tilt on its axis. I can't help but marvel at how quickly they've slipped back into routine, their heavy boots thudding above me while I'm still reeling, trying to find solid ground. The sound of their hammers echoes through the house, a steady rhythm that feels almost mocking. A reminder that life goes on even when I've just torn a piece of mine apart. I'm alone now in the living room, the silence pressing in again. But this time it's different. It's heavier, laden with the weight of my choices. I sink onto the couch, my legs unsteady, and let my head fall into my hands. My mind is a whirlwind, replaying every second of what just unfolded. I see Mark's rough fingers brushing my hair, feel the heat of Jamal's gaze, hear Tyler's teasing words, and then the rush of giving in, the way I let myself drown in a moment of raw, unbridled need. It was like stepping into a fire and not caring if I got burned. But now, in the quiet, the exhilaration battles with a gnawing sense of wrongness. What have I done to Ethan? To us? Was it worth it for that fleeting taste of being alive again? I force myself to stand, needing to do something, anything, to anchor myself back to reality. My eyes catch on the coffee mugs, still sitting on the side table, remnants of a morning that feels like a lifetime ago. I pick them up, the porcelain cool against my palms, and carry them to the kitchen. The mundane act of rinsing them under the faucet, watching the dark stains of coffee swirl down the drain, feels almost absurd after everything. I scrub at them harder than necessary, as if I can wash away the memory of my own recklessness. But it's no use. My thoughts keep circling back, looping through the thrill and the shame, two sides of a coin I can't stop flipping in my mind. The water runs cold over my hands, and I barely notice, lost in the tangle of my own head. I've crossed a line I can't uncross, and there's no going back, no pretending this didn't happen. I shut off the faucet, drying my hands on a towel, and try to steady my breathing, but my heart is still racing, a frantic beat that won't let me rest. And then I hear it. A sound so familiar it cuts through the haze like a knife. A dry, distinct cough, one I've heard 1,000 times over the years, echoing from somewhere near the staircase. My stomach drops, a sickening lurch that makes the room spin for a moment. I freeze, the towel still clutched in my hands, and slowly turn toward the source of the sound. There, halfway down the stairs, stands Ethan. The dim light filtering through the hallway window casts shadows across his face, making it unclear what he's truly feeling. My heart stops as I stare at Ethan, standing there on the staircase, his silhouette framed by the muted afternoon light. That cough, so achingly familiar, reverberates in my chest like a warning bell. I'm rooted to the spot, the towel slipping from my fingers to the floor, forgotten. My mind scrambles, racing through 1,000 excuses, 1,000 lies, but nothing sticks. How long has he been there? What has he seen? The air between us feels charged, electric with unspoken accusations, and I can barely breathe under the weight of it. My lips part, but no sound comes out, just a shallow gasp as I try to steady myself against the counter. Ethan descends the last few steps, his movements slow, deliberate, each one echoing in the hollow silence of the house. His face comes into clearer view now, and I search it for anger, for betrayal, for anything that might tell me how much he knows. But there's nothing like that. Instead, there's a strange satisfaction in his eyes, a quiet triumph that unnerves me more than any outburst could. He stops a few feet away, his gaze steady, piercing, as if he's looking right through me, peeling back every layer I've tried to hide behind. Then he speaks, his voice low and measured, cutting through the stillness like a blade. "I've been planning this for a while. I wanted to see if you're still alive." The words hit me like a physical blow, stealing the air from my lungs. My mouth goes dry, my tongue heavy and useless, unable to form even the simplest response. I just stare at him, wide-eyed, as a wave of shock crashes over me, cold and unrelenting. Alive? What does he even mean by that? My hands tremble at my sides, and I clench them into fists, trying to anchor myself, but it's no use. My world is tilting, spinning out of control, and I'm grasping at fragments of understanding that slip through my fingers like sand. Ethan doesn't move closer, doesn't raise his voice. He just stands there, his expression unreadable except for that glint of victory, as if he's won some game I didn't even know we were playing. And then I see it. The small, sleek camera in his hand, dangling casually by his side like it's nothing. Like it's not a grenade waiting to detonate everything I thought I knew. My stomach twists, a sickening realization dawning on me. He's recorded it. All of it. Every stolen moment. Every reckless choice I made in the living room with Mark, Jamal, and Tyler, every whisper, every touch, every second of my surrender to that forbidden rush. He's captured it all, and the weight of that knowledge presses down on me until I feel like I might collapse under it. My mind reels, pieces snapping into place with brutal clarity. The repairmen? They weren't random, were they? The roof didn't even need fixing. Those storms, the supposed leaks, it was all a setup, a carefully crafted stage for this twisted experiment of his. Ethan orchestrated everything, every detail, just to test me, to push me out of the numbness that's cloaked our marriage for years. He wanted to see if I'd break, if I'd feel something, anything, after so long of just existing. And I did. I felt more in those fleeting, heated moments than I have in ages. But at what cost? My breath hitches as I realize he's been watching, waiting, searching for signs of life in me, something he says he hasn't seen in years. His eyes, so calm, so chillingly composed, hold mine, and I can't look away, trapped in the intensity of his gaze. I'm torn, split down the middle by conflicting storms of emotion. Part of me burns with outrage, a fiery anger at his manipulation, at the way he's played with my life like I'm some pawn in his game. How dare he? How dare he set this up, invade my choices, record my most vulnerable moments without my consent? The betrayal stings, sharp and bitter, cutting deeper than I thought possible. But there's another part of me, smaller, quieter. I'm sitting alone in the kitchen now, the echo of Ethan's footsteps fading as he retreats upstairs without another word. The repairmen, Mark, Jamal, and Tyler, left hours ago, their truck rumbling down the driveway, leaving behind a house that feels eerily still. But this isn't the same silence I've grown used to over the years. No, this quiet is different, charged with a restless energy that hums beneath the surface, like the air just before a lightning strike. I'm perched on a stool at the island, my hands wrapped around a cold mug I haven't touched, staring at the faint ring of coffee stains on the counter. My mind is a tangled mess, a storm of thoughts I can't seem to quiet, each one pulling me in a different direction. I keep replaying that moment on the staircase, Ethan's voice slicing through me with that chilling confession. He planned it all, every detail, just to see if I was still alive. That word keeps circling in my head, heavy with meaning I can't fully grasp. Did he think I'd become so numb, so hollow, that I'd forgotten how to feel? And then there's the camera, that small, cold device in his hand, a silent witness to my unraveling. Knowing he captured every heated, forbidden second of what happened in the living room with those men, it's a violation that burns deep, a betrayal that cuts sharper than I expected. I feel exposed, stripped bare in a way that goes beyond the physical, as if he's peeled back the layers of my soul and laid them out for scrutiny. I'm angry, so angry, at the way he manipulated me, turned our home into a stage for his twisted test. But beneath that rage, there's something else, something I'm almost afraid to name. A flicker of understanding, maybe even relief, that he saw me at all, even through such a dark, distorted lens. Even if it was through such a dark, distorted lens. I don't know what his true motives were. Was this some desperate, misguided attempt to save what's left of our marriage? To shock us both out of the gray fog we've been lost in for years? Or was it control? A way to hold power over me by pushing me to the edge and watching me fall? I can't decide, and that uncertainty gnaws at me, keeping me tethered to this stool, unable to move, unable to look away from the questions swirling in my mind. I've spent so long feeling invisible in this house, a ghost drifting through rooms filled with memories of who we used to be. And now, after everything, I can't deny the shift within me. I feel awake, truly awake, for the first time in what feels like forever. My heart beats faster, my skin tingles with a restless energy, and every breath I take seems sharper, more real. It's terrifying, this sudden rush of life coursing through me, because with it comes the realization that I've been asleep for too long. But it's also exhilarating, a dangerous kind of thrill that I'm not sure I want to let go of, even if I know I should. I glance out the kitchen window, my gaze drawn to the darkening sky beyond the glass. The clouds are heavy, bruised with shades of violet and gray, promising another storm on the horizon. It mirrors the turmoil inside me, the push and pull of guilt and desire, of anger and a strange, newfound clarity. My thoughts drift to what Ethan said before he went upstairs, a cryptic mention of a new crew coming soon, his voice carrying that same unsettling calm. What did he mean by that? What other plans does he have tucked away, waiting to unfold? I can't help but wonder what boundaries will cross next, what lines will blur in this game. I didn't even know I was playing until today. The uncertainty should scare me, and it does in a way. But there's also a part of me that's curious, drawn to the edge of whatever comes next, like a moth to a flame I know could burn me. I lean back on the stool, letting my hands fall to my lap, my fingers tracing absent patterns on the fabric of my jeans. I think about the years behind us, the way our marriage turned into, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.